Hello, Kit Crowne here, your mortgage consultant for life. Welcome to this week's Mortgage Moments video. This morning I read an opinion piece by Paul Begala, the prodigy who led Bill Clinton's successful campaign for president in 1992, in which he wrote, "The baby boomers are the most self-centered, self-seeking, self-interested, self-absorbed, self-indulgent, self-aggrandizing generation in American history." Ouch! That gave me pause to think about this damning condemnation of an entire generation in terms of what I've seen in my mortgage career. Are we the worst generation ever? Were our excesses what really caused the economic meltdown we're still climbing out of? Once the lump in my throat and the pounding in my temples retreated, I thought about some of the other lessons that generations of the past have shared with the world. It doesn't require a lot of effort to remember the roaring 20s and what happened at the end of that particularly raucous time in our history. The Great Depression, after all, took an entire planet into a decade-long economic bust and provided the foundations for World War II. There are other examples, of course. I remember reading a dense novel by Theodore Dreiser a few years back in which the protagonist is lamenting the lack of a work ethic of the next generation and their sloth and profligate spending. And he was writing about the 1890s. That brought me to reflecting on a feature story in this magazine, Life, from February of 1970. The article was about the rising population of people who were in financial trouble, people from the greatest generation whose spending habits were out of control and who needed help learning how to live below their means. There are pictures of one couple sitting in the empty living room of their new home, empty because they couldn't afford to buy any furniture, and getting budgeting help from someone who called themselves the money doctor. This story, this article, was legend in our house because, shame of all shames, it featured my Uncle Alan spread across the pages of a magazine read by millions every week. Ouch again. Your takeaways from this week's video are, first, that whether it's a generational cycle or simply a natural cycle of boom and bust that economies around the globe experience, what we're emerging from isn't, contrary to Paul Begala's thesis, the result of a unique in history period of excess. It just isn't. More important, I think, is that the generations coming of age now, the millennials, the Gen Y and Gen X kids, are proving to be generations of incredibly smart, savvy, socially conscious, engaged, fiscally responsible, and concerned folks who are intent on leaving a better planet in their wake. And whether that's because of the baby boomers or in spite of them, well, I guess I would be too self-centered, self-seeking, self-interested, self-absorbed, self-indulgent, and self-aggrandizing to take the credit. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and remember always that I am here every day to help solve the problems that living life on life's terms sends your way. Keep my number close by so you can reach me anytime you need my help or anytime someone you care about needs someone who will care about them as much as I care about you. See you next week.